Good morning, everyone.
Good
Welcome to
morning.
FYI.
Welcome.
For your information, I'm Jared Finance
For you.
alongside Sherrod Duncan.
First time. You got it.
I got it right this morning.
Oh, bye. Oh, bye.
Guys, believe it or
We just
not,
fixed
it
it.
is Friday the 13th
It is.
of May
Make a
2020.
note. The 13th.
Friday the
1
13th.
3.
You know,
1 3.
I don't know what goes on today. You know, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing or not doing, more importantly. But guys, let me know what I should not be doing
Nothing
today.
to get you in trouble. Absolutely nothing to get you in trouble.
I think I need my comments to be released on this
Oh,
side.
you want the comments to be released?
Yes,
All right.
am not.
Soon as release
my
the Kraken.
the
Soon
comments
as
will be released.
we can release the Kraken.
Guys,
Very soon.
good morning.
But I have it, my end. I can see we have. Is it Euclides? We have Euclides and Euclides, Geron and Miss Guyana 10. Gavin Liverpool. I see Christopher, Harry Paul, Claire Alexis, Chamley is here as well. Vashti, Magna, Claire Capel.
Oh, everyone is in the house.
Yes, it's a full house, full house, full house, full house, full house. We're so happy.
And guys, what are you doing today? Let me know. I want to actually get into what are some of the superstitions that comes with Friday the 13th.
Yeah. What have you guys heard? What have you guys heard? Some of the superstitions.
Don't like I said yesterday. I think you can't. You shouldn't be using too much knife. Don't be reckless with certain things.
Yep, definitely. So believe it or not, when we meet again, we'll be halfway through the month. Can you believe that?
Well, that's crazy because most definitely.
Will be the 16th, right?
The
13th, 14th, 15th.
16th on Monday, and we're halfway through May already. Well, I'm not too sorry about that. I'm actually glad to get on with it. I see Christopher, Harry Paul
Believe
online.
It or not.
Marlon, Laura,
beautiful
hey,
sunshine.
Good morning to you. How are you doing?
Marlon, how you doing? How you be? How you at? Where you there?
I like that photo that you had up there.
Yeah, it's so sunny, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it? If it's just and it's like you just want to be right there.
Yes.
Doesn't it? Let's see, we have that again.
I like the sun coming in the morning.
Oh yes. Good morning, folks. Morning. Good morning. Please and thank you. Let me go for a walk in the forest now. Let me go for a walk in the forest.
Facebook users are well dressed. I have to go because I gotta use my knife.
Please and thank you.
Happy birthday to your sister, Beatrice. It is Beatrice's sister's birthday. It's a happy birthday to her. Oh wow.
Happy birthday, Beatrice.
To your sis. I'm not sure. Beatrice, what's going on? I missed the
Beatrice, is it your birthday? Tell us. Gloria Fraser as well.
Her sister's birthday.
All the folks celebrating birthdays today, perhaps this week.
Her sister, yes. Today is my sister, Inez Gill. Where is it? Of the Bronx, 70th birthday today.
Oh wow!
70th birthday today.
Wow!
So
happy birthday,
to her.
Yes, happy birthday, Inez. Happy birthday, folks. Let's wish Inez a happy birthday.
Inez, I think the word.
Yeah.
I think the name is Inez.
Inez. Yeah. Happy birthday. 70. That's a good age, boy.
Hey, Mocha's in the house this morning. Yes. 70. Yeah. Like, what would I be
I want to be 70, but I can be over
I be doing?
Some trouble, over relationship problems. I hope my wife most settled.
Oh, wow.
I'm a little unsettled right now.
But I think
hope we most settle.
I think relationships on a whole have to get, like, it's time. It grows with time.
You need time.
I have my own.
Love takes time. I've learned that.
You have
I've
no
learned
idea.
that.
I have my own little.
Love takes time.
I think I'm very touchy, people. Trust me.
You are?
You have no idea. I'm very touchy, so I'm not the easiest person to deal with when it comes to all of those things. But the point is moving to 70, you know. Where do you see yourself 70? Like 70 years old, I want to be relaxed, not having to worry about all the stressors. So whatever I do today is basically setting the platform for where I want to be at 70. You know, so that's the goalpost must always be set.
Alia Waldron, Alia's always come out to the way though. Alia's asking where's Amanda. Amanda's feeling like 70 this morning. Amanda's feeling like 70.
Yes.
Amanda's not well. She hurt her shoulder, and so she's getting some therapy for that. So in that regard, she's well. She's recuperating.
She's gonna be out and about.
Her shoulder's causing her some pain. You know, 70's pain. We don't see arthritis is the war, right? But something. And so Amanda's getting some rest and recuperation,
and she's gonna be back.
Yeah. She's coming back.
Alia Waldron.
Yeah, Alia. So rest assured. As soon as the pain, right? As soon as she finished 19 down. right?
19.
Right? 19 down or being 19.
You know, your grandmother always
Yes.
have some kind of oil
Yeah.
for you
I
to
might get a
anoint
good
with.
19 down with some bengue and so on. Yes, a
Benga.
good,
Oh, I
a good
love
9 down.
Benga. I had
Bengue
to
and so
use.
on.
I had to.
Or your little
I was introduced to Benga very recently. You know,
mm,
I'm a little too
so
young for this life.
you live bengue. Or what else you could use? But I would say some Voltaren, but bengue or a little shelling oil. You know, my mother,
My
shelling
mother's
oil
going
is
to
solve
mix.
all the problems.
My mother mixes all sorts of
Yeah.
things in some oil. I think she puts some oil and then she would put things like Epsom salt and it and all sorts. When she finished, listen, when she finished rubbing it, all I know is
Bengue shelling oil, man, so good to go.
the pain just go away. So
Go to go. Bengue shelling oil. All man's of trouble solved right there, right?
Yeah.
My mother is probably single-handedly maintaining the shelling oil industry. Single-handedly.
Everything is shelled oil.
Everything is shelling oil. I want about the shelling oil. I need this life.
Well, that was my grandfather. My
shilling oil?
grandfather, God rest his soul, Mr. Collinet, used to always have those things on his little shop list: shilling oil and Marmite. He never goes to the
Marmite.
grocery store without bringing
Anybody
home
love Marmite? You're different.
Yes, I'm telling you.
You're different. Spice Man is here.
Hey.
Marlon Thomas and Ricardo Charles is here as well.
Imagine it TLC.
Yeah, I think so. I think. See, after a while, Charles.
I'll
After a while, bang bing, bang bing, bang bing. After a while, you think it started backing up. You know, you got clear the system. Yeah, I think so, Charles. You're right. TLC. After a while, the system will start backing up. You need something on the in between.
I have no clue what
You got a clue. You got a clue. All right, girl.
I never got to those stages.
Chef, forget 9 dog with Shelling Island
For
and
nothing
so on.
backing up.
And backing. Here's story now, Shanda. Somebody says stop right here in the band. Somebody says stop right here. Pause right here.
Maureen's, she likes Marmite, you know.
Maureen different.
No, but I want to this my grandfather.
Marvin Singh too. You see, love Marmite in soup.
What?
Are you different?
This is new.
Marmite in soup.
Hey, Warren, good morning.
Ricardo says so true. Alana Tang, how you doing? Devincia Prince, what about you? You know, Warren messaged me and said, you know, thanks. He said somebody, because he was so busy with his new grandson, told him congratulations. And he said, well, how old did you do? He said, FYI. Was an ambassador too.
Oh, okay.
An ambassador told him congratulations. Messaged him to say congratulations. He said, how you know? So I started an FYI. Yeah, I'll take that. We got international. We got international.
I think Warren also said that the Shant is very appreciative of everything.
Hold on, look at Gavin says try some bamboo rub. What's bamboo rub now?
Babu.
Babu rub. It's Babu. Yeah. What's Babu rub? I like the name.
Well, I just got, like I was just
saying. Something like Jumbie.
But I just was introduced to Benga because John Doe, he does a lot of sports activities. So he injured a muscle. So he was dealing with this Benga rub. The first time ever
Benga rub. But not bamboo. What's it?
This is
bamboo.
What
was the person saying? Bamboo. Yeah. Bamboo rub.
But all these things you go through.
We know what man's in need. We know, y'all.
When you reach 70, you look back and say all the time, you know, I rub your foot and your hand.
Yeah.
This is the reason we got to this stage.
Yeah. I can rub me wife. My wife she can rub me foot. My wife can rub me foot.
It's it's Babu. I don't know.
Babu rub.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Tell us about it. Tell us what Babu rub.
That's for pain.
It's called. A lot of people know Babu. Moral Joseph know Babu. Who else know it? This thing like a Gambic.
Isabella said try some
Tiger Balm. I hear about Tiger Balm before.
Wow.
Man, see a good rubbing them. How's your problem solved?
Buckley's white rub. Listen, I gotta go back to these comments after I write these things down.
Yep. Y'all know y'all things though.
But I know. Like,
look, Facebook users say that this thing big. Babu big. Jason Van Kooten say yes. Babu rub. Babu rub is it?
A missionary Jerry says, but try Jesus. He's the best healer.
I expect that.
Yes.
I would have been surprised if I didn't hear anything else. Yes. Lot of comments here. Manzi girl must read some of these comments later.
Manzi, you need to read a comment. I need to write some of these things down because I remember I had a pain in my shoulder that was persistent for a few months. And I had to literally I had to rest. What do you mean?
Oh, it was rest?
I needed a rest. Like, how did I get the pain? I don't know. I can't pinpoint like when it started. Like, but it must be something that I was doing to pull the muscle or something. But sometimes these things take a little bit of time, more time than we expect.
It's true. It's true. I know when you're getting big.
Yeah, I'm getting old. Like,
when you're getting big, I want to say
got
old.
Up and I saw, like, I was combing my hair, I saw gray hair in my head, and I was like,
you're the Asian stage.
What the hell is this? Like,
right. Well, I used to have the gray hair problem a long time ago. I take off all the hair. Right? But when you're getting big, you got aches and pains. You know, you got aches and pains. Yeah, no, we big. Right? But we ain't thing.
We're growing.
Right? Look, Margaret Nelson says, Judy, you have to catch your bed after using the babu wrap on your foot.
Well,
this
thing
has the effect. She like work. Somebody's recommending BioFreeze too. BioFreeze, icy hot. Amanda got a lot of things to try here, girl. Right? When you're done, you feel like 16 again.
I see.
Winter green oil.
Feels is saying onions.
Onions, wow. Or no, Jardine says winter green oil. Man's reading some of this stuff here. Winter green oil, a lot. That's new too. That's like babu for me. That's new.
Wow.
Right? Tulsi Narayan says good morning from Illinois. Good morning, Tulsi says good morning to all. Jill Williams and so on. So it's the green oil. That's what we saw there. BioFreeze, but the babu seems to be the man.
Wow.
Right?
It's shocking me. This is the first time I'm hearing about
it. Yeah, it's two of us. Well, FYI.
FYI.
For information, babu.
I'm getting my information this morning instead of giving information out. You know, but
that's how it works in communication.
Yes, you have to learn. You can learn from
two way.
You can learn from everyone.
What we got you?
So the babu sends a lot of heat in your body. Yeah. So this is
that's just up your alley.
Heat treatment more so, you know. I don't know what type of heat because
heat in your body.
Those heat packs, sometimes I put it on, I wait for the heat to come, it don't come. What they call hot, I don't call hot.
You like things hot?
Very, yes.
Is this your color?
Yes.
The color.
I'm one of those women. Don't worry. We're not going to get into that.
The color. What's on the morning papers, guys? What's on the morning papers today?
Well, the first thing is another magistrate recused herself from the Winston Jordan case. And guys, you would remember that Winston Jordan is being maliciously prosecuted by the administration, and that's the only way I'm going to put it over.
Yes.
I'm not going to try to put
maliciously,
it over in any other way.
Vindictively, wickedly.
Yes. Subverting the course of law and true justice altogether, making a mockery of the court system. I can say so many other things about that. But recently we had told you guys that the magistrate had recused herself from the case, and today we're saying that another magistrate recuses themselves from this case as well. And I can see why magistrate wouldn't want themselves to be associated with these cases. But I want to say here that it's sure that Isaac Marcus on Thursday recused herself from presiding over the trial of former Finance Minister Winston Jordan, who is accused of misconduct in public office. Magistrate made this announcement during the case hearing at the Georgia Magistrate Court. And Jordan, as we know, he is out on $3 million bail. And again, I say very malicious prosecution altogether. Things that should never be tolerated in any country. This is not democracy. This is a startling example of dictatorship.
Correct is right.
Right. So
correct is right.
I am actually going to be following it because as we see the second magistrate recusing herself, I don't know what more to expect coming from in that angle. But definitely something for us to keep following.
And I gotta import some magistrates.
Yeah.
I gotta import some magistrates because.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you can get person to travel to come for nonsense. But you never know. You never know.
There is that too. What else we got in the papers?
I see Kitty man nabbed with $300,000 in marijuana. But I thought we were moving forward from this, and I think it's just two headlines that are similar to each other. Then two men arrested with ganja at BV. So you know when I'm looking at it, Sharon, if you can weigh in on this bit a little more, sure, you would have known that the bill was put.
Yes, I smoke marijuana. That's what I think. I could weigh in it. I don't understand. I don't understand.
When it comes to marijuana and the use of marijuana, so, person would know that Sher Duncan had put that motion before the National Assembly when it comes to
Yeah.
increasing the amount persons are able to have in their possession, the quantity. It so happens that the government decided that they don't want nobody to have any thunder, so they came and they
Just like that.
actually they came and they tweeted a little bit and brought it back from their side. And what's going on with that, if you can tell the folks?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they put it in a select,
Correct.
a select committee. They park it there,
Parked.
and we told the guys, we told the community, don't get excited,
Yeah.
right? That parking there is gonna be for a long time. That's the nature of them. They
Has
say,
that
oh, we
committee ever
care.
met?
Not that I know.
Not to my knowledge either. Very strange. I don't think the committee has ever
Not
met.
that I know.
So it's
Not that I
been
know.
put
Yeah,
there
it park up.
just to cripple it, as
It
far as
park
I'm
up.
seeing.
It park up.
But again, I want to just say at this point in time that a lot of talks were had, especially when it comes to from persons like Air Finale and so forth. He even made this wild statement saying that he should meet he's going to meet with the marijuana farmers because they have the technical they know
Yeah,
they have the
they've been planting a little while now.
expertise, so all of those things being had. Obviously persons knew that you just can't make loose statements like that, especially when you're dealing with something that is illegal. And nevertheless, so here we are. But at the same time, I have a little issue. At the same time, we see all the talk about hemp and the cultivation of hemp is being had, and for some reason, this is not a conversation that I'm going to go into deep here, but I'm just going to throw it out because I have an issue with the
Tell us.
fact that when you're talking about the hemp cultivation, hemp and marijuana, my issue is, folks, that when you look at the who's been engaged when it comes to the cultivation of hemp, the persons that now will be put in a position to actually benefit financially and legally from cultivating hemp. That is the plan that is put out there right now. It's strange to see, a whole lot of persons were incarcerated for even smoking a joint. But now you are moving away from that section of society that has the majority of persons incarcerated for the youth for smoking a joint, and you're going to another section to reward to reap the benefit and the reward of the cultivation of hemp. So I have a little bit of difficulty in that, and I'm going to gather my thoughts together on that for another program, probably next week. But
interesting times. What else in the morning papers?
Nobody is going to tell me who I am going to speak with. So says Barrett Jagger.
It's your boy. Ingrid King is your boy.
so
Benny Blanco.
Barrett Jagger. And this is coming after the comments are being made by the Guyana Press Association that the government officials should not be sitting down and speaking with any and everybody and just marginalizing basically the journalists.
Main core media.
Correct.
Core media.
But I actually want to just quote a part of what was said in this piece of reporting. I want to quote a part that was said because oh my goodness. Let me just bear with me for a moment, guys. But basically, what it's pointing to, because I'm not picking it up. Oh, okay, yes, there it is. He claimed that the government is well aware of the news organization that stood up for democracy when it was in danger, rather than the so-called independent press.
That's the markup. That's always the mark with them.
But you spoke about it so much. Where were you?
Where were you during that period? That's always anything done in this country now. Anything done. You're less of a Guyanese. It's not one Guyana no more. Right? It's not one Guyana. You want something done? Where you went on March 2nd and post. Right? What did you say? Let me see the letter you write to people. That's where you get things and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the measure.
Basically.
Yeah. Where were you?
Yeah. Well,
it's so silly.
But it's not just that. I think the accusation is being made also that the Guyana Press Association is biased, And that is something that I have to heavily disagree with. Again, press association and reporting altogether, we have a lot of issues in our country when it comes to the manner in which news agencies report, right? And blatantly you can pick up on any one of them and say, well, this one looks like they are skewed towards this one's skewed towards that. But I have to say that with all of that comes out some newspapers. I want to pinpoint, for no particular reason, I want to pinpoint some Starbuck News. And I personally, I have seen a lot of value in the reporting there and the manner in which those reporters
They got some good journalists.
professional. They have good journalists, right? And not only them, you can go to different news when you pull out extremely excellent articles. Culture News has been doing a phenomenal job when it comes to the oil and gas sector. We see Village Voice does some amazing reporting on all of that. You cannot at any point in time try to condemn press altogether and say that, oh, well, you're going to go and speak to everybody. Have, like, rightly so, the opportunity and the freedom to go and speak to who you want to, but do not do so. And in order to do so, you want to do so on a platform that you have to condemn the press and the independent press altogether. You don't need to do that. Just go and do what you want to do.
Correct is right. My trouble with that is that we can't duplicate efforts. And there's a whole media segment dedicated to getting government information out. When you now go and got to pay on top privately, private individuals to try and get mileage, then what taxpayers paying DPI for? What taxpayers paying NCN for? And all of those radio stations and all of those staff, right? That is geared towards getting, I'm certain the president got his own press unit. I'm certain the vice president probably got a little press unit in his office too.
Every minister,
what are we paying for that
ministry and minister have PR personnel.
Why are we duplicating efforts? Now you got to go and pay on top of that. Private people.
No, but that the message that is sent there, it says that they have no confidence in the people that they are paying to do the job that they are paying them to do. They have zero confidence in their ability to do that. And we're talking about the folks that they hire within the various ministries and all
so
of that to do PR work.
How can people sell, how can LCN sell themselves if they have the largest reach if your own people don't even use it? You know, it's interesting. So we can't waste taxpayers' money in that sense. Because this whole cadre of media operations happening, DPI and NCN, all the radio stations fall under NCN television as well. And so on, that's geared towards getting out government information, right? And then when you talk about people who have been trained to ask the right questions and who have been certified and accredited as journalists, and then when you bypass all that, you could understand why the press association has, and journalists have to be independent. And so when you come talking nonsense, a journalist like Isabel Young and say, hold on. But what about this?
Yeah, the facts override whatever.
That's what happens when people are trained. It's like what happened at the CCJ recently, right? You see, when you are trained, you don't just sit down and people come in and talking a whole monologue, and you just sit down and listen. You say, hold on, Miss Ali, how can you, right? That is the kind of engagement you want. You don't just want a lawyer coming in because the whole thing fixed and set. The lawyer just talk and just say, you win. Right? You got to interrogate the process. Why this money went to he? Why not this other person here? What the lowest bill? Why this company? Are you related to X body? Do you take bribes? Right? You think critics can ask the vice president, do you take bribes? He ain't even doing the homework to find out. Right? All you're interested in is, it's a big deal now. Madness. So the press association was spot on with that.
Yes, they were.
And again, don't only look at the press association in isolation. Look at what other media houses have been saying. Incredible, like Starbuck News. Been talking about the fact that they have had a post-cabinet briefing ever since taking office. But they all used to condemn Granger. Right? So let's be fair. We're not looking at it in isolation. Oh, it's just them. But look what other media houses have been saying. They complain about the same thing. I mean, everybody right and just you alone. Everybody wrong and just you alone, right?
Correct.
We gotta watch that. We gotta watch that.
Well, that is something that we're gonna because I think it's completely disrespectful to refer to the independent press as so-called independent press,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to
Wrong all over.
a lot more needs to be said on that, and I hope the press association responds.
Wrong all over.
Correct. As
What
we
else we
move
got?
forward, the crime wave. I want to speak about this a little bit because the crime wave is out of control, especially when it comes to petty crimes, as it is referred to. And I see, folks. I know that a lot of you would have seen a video circulating. Some of you haven't on social media with the man that armed himself with a cutlass to fend off the bicycle bandits.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting is that there was a video circulating that of a man that captured it on his personal cameras, security cameras, and it's like these guys on the bicycles literally circle in the area, looking for somebody, until that man was coming there riding. And luckily for him, he had a cutlass in his hand to try to
Yeah.
defend
Isn't it
himself,
isn't
right?
the same thing they did with the Christian Labor College students?
That is
Isn't that 8 of
correct.
them on bicycle?
Yes, that is correct. But I want to note at this point in time, I see that robbers mainly using my motorcycles and bikes. So says MacBeam.
Mm-hmm.
So McQueen is coming out and he's making the report. They said 15-year-old in custody over hold up of the Christian Labor College students. 15
Yeah.
years old. I want us to actually reflect on what is going on, because I don't think that the system is dealing with these matters adequately. The system is not dealing with these matters adequately. These minors, as they're considered, go out there and they commit these crimes, and I do not see the system actually taking it into control as they should. And I want to make the point that I was exposed to a situation recently of a young man that attempted to rob some persons also. And but at the end of it, when he got to the station, the police was asking, you are not supposed to be reporting here for another crime. So this is a system that is set up. Somebody goes in there and they make a report, and oh yes, it's logged there, and then whilst they're processing it, the person is at home and or supposed to be at home, but they're out there committing further crime. So he have one robbery on top of the other now being reported.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he's how old? He was a minor also, 16, 17, about
Mm-hmm.
that. And there are too many persons out there. These are things that you have to, this is a collaborated effort across ministries and all of that to deal with this specific issue, because I always say that there's an underlying issue that we are not addressing, just picking out them one by one. It's not going to stop it. You have to address the core issue at hand. And a 15-year-old in custody over that, it's crazy. And we want a society in which I can send my children out on the streets to play or something,
Yeah.
on the
Without the
road
fear of being robbed.
without a
To
fear
class, to
that they
school.
have to be
Without being
robbed.
robbed.
Exactly.
Right?
So
Without being stabbed, without being shot.
a lot of work to be done there. But I
Yep.
want to say, I want to make this point before we move on, that we as citizens, we need to do our part in calling it out. Because I'm not going to stop saying every time something like this happens, somebody knows who it is. And we need to stop this whole thing with covering it up. The community always knows who are the persons that go out and act like this. And you're doing nothing but enabling it further when you don't call it out and let them go down a pathway of being corrected if they can. Hopefully a lot of
The
them
law got to
could
take
be
its course.
corrected
The law got to
and
take its course.
back into society and,
Yep.
and be of some meaningful value to the
Yep.
community. But a lot to be done there, and we need to do our
What's
part.
brewing? What's brewing? Let's start with what's brewing.
Internationally, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the fact that there was a homeless Guyanese woman with no immigration status wins legal battle with the council over emergency accommodation.
Wow. Wow.
Homeless Guyanese woman. I want to
Wow.
say that there's record.
This is in the UK.
Correct. There's of course 68 years old challenged the Lambert Council's decision not to provide her with emergency accommodation to avoid her sleeping on the streets in June of 2021, right? And this is in the UK, folks. So basically, and they're looking at the case as though
she's Guyanese and she's homeless.
Correct. In the UK.
In the UK.
Yeah, but a lot.
I can see how that can be being homeless here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, you make a point there. Made me pause for a little bit. But the Guyanese homeless over there, and she was denied emergency accommodation during the COVID spot over there when it was at its peak. But what's most interesting about it is a lot of times, even in Guyana, uh, when we have situations in which we have see persons on the streets, even here, and in the UK, I would assume that is just the same. But it was most interesting that this woman, at some point in time, she decided, this was wrong, and I should challenge this in court. It's not just okay to say, oh, well, I wasn't documented and all of that, so I should just accept what was dished out to me. She decided that that was not okay, and she challenged it in a court of law.
So you could
and
only
won
access
that.
a shelter for COVID
Yeah,
if you got identification.
we're different in Guyana.
Wow.
We do things
Wow.
different.
But it makes you wonder where
Yeah.
else in the world you got people who are Guyanese who on the streets. How bad your country got be? You say, well, I can take being destitute, over here. Right? I can live on the streets over here rather than something else, How bad things got to be.
Yeah.
That's food for thought. Food for thought.
Yeah.
What else happening?
And a lot needs to be said about the way our streets as well, and the amount of homeless persons out there as well. So a lot of work needs to go into that. But on the regional front, I see CARICOM members discussing boycott of America's summit.
Oh, yes. Yep. And they said they don't want to go unless Cuba and Venezuela are invited as well. And so CARICOM heads of government have been discussing among themselves. They want the presence of Cuba and Venezuela at this international summit that is coming up here, the Summit of the Americas. And that is why, and this is Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, was making these comments to the media in Trinidad, that this is the mindset of some of the leaders, that they can hold out because it's CARICOM luck, or associate members too. So this is on that front. And again, lots happening in the region. Sometimes I wonder where's CARICOM. I'm trying to understand where they are and what they're doing, but it's difficult. It's difficult because we seem to be in some enclaves within CARICOM. If your friend is the president of Suriname, for instance, you can get more out of that relationship than through CARICOM itself, right? Or if the three of you, let's say Suriname and Barbados and Trinidad, you all are friends, then you form a block and you kind of trade, again, it's not through CARICOM, but it's in spite of CARICOM. So sometimes you wonder what is the benefit of that, and we'll be
I think it was Zelensky that was calling out even the UN when it comes to the fact that persons were not intervening on behalf there in their country when Russia invaded Ukraine. I think Zelensky was saying is either that you're going to come and help or just shut down altogether.
War is a strange thing. If you're looking at it practically, you're not afraid with all the international laws. It's a strange thing because
you have to look at it dispassionately.
We promised we wouldn't be back here, and we've sat back and we've watched Russia, and nobody seems to want to intervene in a direct way.
Yeah.
Right? So we can send guns, we can send money, we can fly down there, take a photo up, get a little video out of it, and so on.
The process,
right? But no boots on the ground to say we can bring a halt to this thing here. This is madness.
This is nonsense.
Right? It's nonsense. It's all of these channels you're going to. I know America sending guns. I know Europe sending guns and so on to help Zelensky. But there's no end in sight because what was supposed to some felt would have been a week. Yeah. And then Ukraine would have fallen, has now been running into months. And again, with no end in sight. And we promised after 1914 we won't be back here. World War I. 1939. World War II, we said we'd never again. You had the creation of NATO and all of these things, and last in the UN organs to prevent this very thing. And then after Saddam Hussein and all the things that went wrong there and in Afghanistan, we said never again. And Europe is shocked that they got this conflict right in modern Europe.
I think that's why a lot of countries
and then here we are, bogged down with this, and we're going through, and you paying the higher price for goods and services because of what's happening there. And lots of people around the world, and Biden in his own country having some trouble with the economy as well. And here we are yet again in this. And you know why? Because I think in all of this, a lot of people make money. Because war, nothing mints money like war. You got to pay for it. You got to pay for the guns. You got to pay for the troops. You got to pay for everything. Got to be paid for.
Yeah.
You think things going free? Right? You're going to pay for one way or the next. Things are going to be paid for. But again, the larger thing is that we said we won't be back here.
Correct.
Again.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, we are.
And same thing. We said we won't be back here dealing with some of the stuff PPP gave away. But here we are. Same old PPP.
Actually, a little worse.
Right.
I think because they're worse right now. They're worse because they have more money to spend and they are doing whatever they did. They just magnified to the 12th power.
So following that, we talked about Mr. Jordan. I think that's the other thing we have coming up.
Yes, we did talk about him a little earlier, but guys, we can just I think Sherry could just give a little bit more comments on this matter, especially the fact that persons, I know that persons have been going out and actually giving their support to him outside of Suku. And twice we had protesters out there. The first one, both yourself and I were at that, making sure that we lend our voice in support of Mr. Jordan. And a lot being said about the fact that this is just nonsense. And it just should not be allowed to continue altogether.
Yeah.
A lot of persons are of the view that whenever the things are so out of control, they try to pull in somebody of some magnitude. And that's how Mr. Jordan got pulled in the second time, because the amount of nonsense that is going on, they try to get a deflector from everything.
Yeah. And you know, part of what is happening here too, if you guys have noticed, look how many persons have been charged with some foolishness. Right? You might say they're new AFC supporters.
Yeah.
And that we quick to label people here, you know? It's them boys. Right? But how many convictions have we seen in 18 months? You charge people for election offenses.
Protesting
illegally.
Signing
all
sorts of nonsense.
All sorts of nonsense. But how many convictions?
That's why
tying up the court system and a bundle of foolishness. How many convictions? You hear the accusations of rigging, and since they started prosecuting, not a conviction, not a conviction, and yet people believe this kind of foolishness.
Yeah.
And then in turn, if you look at who the real riggers are, the East Coast alone, and that's not the only instance. With the East Coast alone, got so many instances of tomfoolery and nonsense that happened in the election. But we want to talk about that.
There we have to do a special program to just reflect on all that went on during that period. Some persons still
Incidentally, there were charges against a lot of current government officials. And this wasn't only charges that were brought. I remember, and we would remember, no less than the Chief Justice. For instance, in the issue of Ashley Singh and Brassington, said there's enough to be tried here at the level of the court, right? And as soon as they came to office, the DPP, same DPP who was chastised just on Tuesday before the CCJ, same DPP, dropped all of those charges, no reason given, no reason whatsoever, and you listen to the DPP yesterday talking about what society expects. Oh, we didn't expect any reason? A man get charged with undervaluing state land, buying and selling. He buys state land cheap, $1,000. But when he sell it, he make 400 million. That don't strike you as odd?
Yep.
Right? But nobody got a problem with that. Those cases were dropped. The charges were dropped against Ashley Singh, against Vincent Brassington, against the Attorney General, had fraud charges. Against Claudette Singh, had private criminal charges brought against her. Her charges were dropped. You understand now why she's singing for Shisapa? A whole host of them. A whole host of them. This country has never benefited from the mind of the DPP on why those charges were dropped.
Correct.
Never benefited. Why?
You
don't owe us no reason.
And you see in the press that these charges have been dropped.
Irfan Ali, 19 fraud charges. 19, same thing, land issue. Undervaluing land. That don't bother nobody. Right? You understand how the law here operates?
But we have persons before the
Right?
court, and
Now, if
the
you and I
list
had gone before the
continues.
DP yesterday, under those instructions, right? You would have said, you know, this woman is passionate. She must know what she's talking about. After all, she's a DPP.
Yeah.
Right? But when Adrian Sanders listened to the foolishness, he said, woman, you hear that? Mrs. Ali, we can play this stuff here. Mrs. Ali, Mrs. Ali. It's foolishness. Right? But unless you don't challenge these things.
Well, that's the point I was making with the homeless woman.
Unless you don't challenge them,
Yep.
you just never know. Just never know.
You have to.
Over to you,
a bit of update as we move on with what is happening locally. A bit of update. We would have spoke about the fact that the private sector commission was to have an election a very, very long time ago.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, for some reason that wasn't done then. But just to give an update, guys, the private sector commission had its election, and Paul Chung retains the chairmanship of the private sector commission.
Oh, wow.
Right? It's a local business executive. Paul Chung has been re-elected chairman of the private sector commission, and he was elected during the commission's 30th annual general meeting held at the Marriott Hotel on Thursday. So Mr. Chung now is there returning
he come back.
Yes, the chairman of the private sector commission. I know I listened to the beginning of what he was saying, and he
makes sense.
He was actually he was singing to the narrative and fought for democracy. Yeah, right. So it's like it goes back to what you were speaking about a little earlier, Shara. The fact that is how things are measured now, Oh well, I was there, and I was speaking on behalf of these people. So yes, I am in line, and the private sector.
That's how you get it work.
Is in line and to benefit from that. Yeah. And a lot it's a sad thing too. I think that should not have been in his statement at all. You've been being re-elected. I guess he has to sing to the tune of whatever he believes is the reason why he is re-elected there. But I think the private sector commission altogether needs to do a whole lot more. At least I say that, and I personally believe that I should advise that other bodies are formed as for private sector development, and that they are not just stymied under this umbrella of the private sector commission, because once it is left like that, a lot of persons will be marginalized and discriminated against. But I believe that when we see things going down in a certain manner, it is our responsibility to go out and to form other bodies so that we will empower businesses that have been sidelined altogether. That's just my take on it.
Yeah. But I put little stock in the current private sector, especially likes of Paul Chung, especially because it was Paul Chung. And I want to tell you what to put in his speech. You put whatever you want, put in your speech. Right? Don't tell me what to put in my speech neither. Same Paul Chung, who sat on the Guy Oil board as chairman when all the mess was happening with them trying to double dip, overcharge for oil so they could skim off the top. Paul Chung was there. Akani Blair, remember the CEO, resigned? Whatever his name was, he has now been condemned to the dustbins of history. Akani Blair was taken off the board by Irfan Ali. Why? Because of what was happening. The skullduggery, the corruption, the kickback. In all of those recordings that were produced, they said I went to Paul Chung house and he was part of signing off on it. You understand me? But he's there for a reason, right? And there was huge corruption between the officials at GPL. You understand why we can't get proper light, right? Because if you was supposed to buy 5,000 tons of fuel and you'll only buy 5, but y'all pocket the rest of the money, how we can get light properly? He was part of that. And I said,
I think you need to write these things down and send it through.
I said that Paul Chung is to the private sector and also to Gael, who Claudette Singh is to GCOM. They want to tell us in his speech, oh, there was so much rigging. We were on the vanguard of the rigging. We stood against it. So much rigging at GCOM. But Clara didn't see. She didn't know. Right? She didn't went and she didn't go. She's the only person didn't know. Everybody else. Vincent wrong. Chatman wrong. Who's the other one? Corbin wrong. Right? Lowenfield wrong. All the rigging. Right? You heard Jack, you said the other night, oh, Norton, Alexander there, she come. All the happening, Clara didn't see that, As smart as she's smart, judicially, as bright as she's bright, she didn't see nothing. She never discerned nothing. She's the only saint there. The only saint in all of that. If y'all are true, all that mess happened. A whole tanker with oil waiting out there. And them buys are on tape. Oh, we can sell it for $100. You getting 10 out of the 100, I getting 5. 5 going to somebody else. Paul didn't see, he didn't know nothing. A whole board.
But it goes
You're the only innocent one.
But it goes back.
And you want to lecture me who was in the vanguard of democracy? Right? Give us a break, Paul.
Yes.
Give us a break. But make your money and go quietly.
But I think that it goes back to the point that we make so many times that the more you have those things to your name, the higher you are put.
Yes.
The higher you are elevated.
I'm happy you mentioned that.
Yes.
Because Akani Blair, who Irfan Ali took off the board because he was one of the point men on that corruption there, right? Anug never spoke out about it. He was with Anug. Never chastised him. He was taken off of the board. He resigned from Anug. He gone back home. We gone back to the PPP.
But you remember when you speak about it, you are not a fighter for democracy.
Yes.
You're a naysayer.
Yep. Right? Yep. You're a naysayer when you're robbing the state, robbing Guy Oil, you're scampishness, right? You're a naysayer. But the whole bag bust up with Guy Oil, the collusion between the set at GPL and them there.
But and the question would
wicked
now,
set of
what
people.
What does it say for the private sector commission? Well, I've yet to see any acts of balance coming from the private sector commission. I can say that there has never been any case that I can refer to say, hey, the private sector commission was neutral and balanced on this matter. I haven't seen that.
Listen to me. That's why I won't get invited a lot of places. I will never sit down and let them lecture me about proprietary and moral values and all that. The private sector under them same jagabats has Garlican. You forget Garlican? Wanted by the U.S. authority. He was nestled there and from the home. As a matter of fact, Garlican was an observer in the last election.
Region 4, right there.
2 weeks after the U.S. cashier in the airport, he in jail in the U.S. and he was a member, card-bearing member, was an observer in the last election.
Of which they are praising their activism for.
Yes, praising activism, but they want to talk about Gallican. Let me talk about Gallican. Right? Let me talk about Gallican and how he was a beloved member, a convict from the US. 2 weeks after rendition in the backside. He in jail languishing. We can't talk about Gallican, and God knows it must get some more right in the lockup, in the private sector commission, in the body. In the body. So he can't lecture. I wouldn't sit down and listen to you.
You can't.
Lecture us? Let me talk about Gaia. Let me talk about Gallican. You want to talk about democracy? You see, democracy for them is just putting an X on the paper. Right? And because they didn't have the statutory documents for all them ballot box in the East Coast, we don't even know how some of them X meet in the box.
Correct.
So, Paul, let me have a full and frank discussion about that.
But they don't do that, and I think that's one of the things that's missing. I think that's what Aubrey Norton was saying. Let's debate. Let's have a platform and let's come to a debate, because Aubrey Norton knows that there's no day in history Barjaglia is going to stand on a stage with him in a debate with the moderator and actually be able to say half the nonsense.
You need to start talking about Sue. Debate finished.
I have to check upon that.
Debate finished. What else we got?
Well, we have a lot more, but guys, Sheffield is very passionately about that, like all of us do. A lot of people.
Yeah, because I will have them to lecture us.
Yeah.
Right, when they are the real riggers. When you look at the last election, step by step, and you see what happened, you understand very, very clearly. Right, the point man in Trinidad doing the nastiness, he now implied at the embassy, former minister. When we say the UNC is to Trinidad when the PP is here and they close ties. He's a former minister. He work in big salary over Guyanese, overqualified Guyanese, right? Which is really and truly payback. Correct. Payback for services rendered.
That's what we're seeing till today. We're seeing a lot of payback being happening left, right, and center. If they just can't keep up with the amount of person that they have to pay back.
Yep.
I can say that. But as we move forward,
Maybe
guys, we
there.
continue to tell you to be careful on the roadways. We continue to tell you to be careful on the roadways, and I just want to say,
Like a
and
preempting
this,
you.
I think I'm sure this preempted me. Well, let me go to the person of interest. We're there already. I'll come back to what I was saying. Person of
Apologies.
interest, yes. So, person of interest there is Miss Angela Van Lang, and she has delivered the most babies during the period 2021 of May 2022
Wow, that's
at
good.
the Bartica Regional Hospital.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
this is from home, right?
She's a baby
She's a midwife.
delivering machine.
She's a midwife.
Baby delivering
But I
machine.
want to I want to make
Talk to us
I
about it.
want to make the point of this. Angela Van Lang is somebody that I know personally, and she's absolutely amazing with the work that she does. When you go to the hospital and you want to be handled with this care that person's you sick people going, the person that need medical attention. If you're not sick, you're delivering a baby, you need that medical care and attention. She's one of those persons that gives that to you. I have never once seen her angry, upset. I've never once heard her fret, and I'm sure she have her off days and all of that. But I've never, when I go to the hospital there as a patient in need of care, she always has a smile on her face, and she goes, "But I'm not sure she have tons of stuff to worry about like everybody else, but she always does her work with such professionalism." And I have to say, at this point in time, she actually delivered my youngest daughter.
Wow.
Yes, she
Wow.
delivered my 7-year-old daughter, and she
Mm-hmm.
was absolutely amazing with that whole process. I had zero
Mm-hmm.
issues, zero complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Like just professional in what she does.
Mm-hmm.
She's an expert in her own field.
Well, after seeing my last son come into the world, I give it to the midwives.
Yeah, she
I give
was
it.
so. I think I was like, I have to add in this part because, like, when my daughter was born, I was like, I didn't hear she wasn't crying or so, and she's like she saw like the worry on my face, and then she's like, she got the suction thing and just did the suction with the
Mm-hmm.
face, and
Mm-hmm.
she
Mm-hmm.
started to cry, and she said, and then she came and rested her directly on me because that's the way it's done. No, because when I had my first daughter, they were like, they usually get the baby and like care, like give the baby a bath and give them clothes and then give you the baby. But now, as more studies have developed, they say that this skin to skin contact is what they promote. As soon as the baby is born, they put the baby directly on the mother's skin immediately as the baby comes out. So she did the suction, the baby started crying, and then right away you have the baby. But it's just like she did it with such ease, like calmness. Like it was absolutely
nice.
so kudos to Miss
Yeah.
Angela Van Lang.
Yep.
We are also thankful for you and so many others like yourself that has been doing amazing jobs when it comes to healthcare altogether in this country.
You know what? I read somewhere that something about the mother's beating heart when the child is resting.
Yes.
The child helps to calm the child. That
Not just
vibration.
calm. No, but not just calm. There's a lot of research, and I want to mention this when it comes to this skin to skin contact with mother and child as soon as the child is born. A lot of research out there that has shown that a lot of stillborn babies, when they put the baby on their mother, and a lot of the mother feeling the warmth of their mother and whatever that science can't explain, the baby is revived with that skin to skin contact, and there's so many cases. You can go online, you see so many videos of mothers literally crying because their baby was born as stillborn. But the policy now is in so many hospitals across the world, the majority, I would say, that you put that newborn baby on the mother. And when they did that, the baby literally was revived. It's just it's the most amazing thing. And again, like a missionary, Joey, the Freitas is on, and he was going to say that at that point he just said, "This is God. This no other science can explain this. This is an act of God."
Yeah. Interesting.
Very so much a lot to for us to be thankful for, and a lot for us to learn and continue to learn when it comes to medicine and integrating medicine with spirituality and a higher power altogether. That linkage is something that I think persons have not been able to break through as yet, but a lot to be said there. But I'm going to allow Sharon to take you through what they said this morning.
Oh yeah, well actually we this morning it's linked to our big issue, and we're talking about some of the indigenous troubles we're having in this country, because if you guys have been following, this month or the last 2 months have been a lot of indigenous issues have come to the fore, and the way in which the PPP government has been treating our indigenous people. And the most recent damning thing to come out of an international body was some recommendations that came out of the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination out of the UN. And previously, we talked about some recommendations that came out of the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. This now is the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination against, sorry, the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination out of the United Nations, again, pronouncing on some issues that are of interest. And lots of these issues go to the heart of what is happening among our indigenous brothers and sisters. Lots, huge swaths of their lands have been given to mining.
Yeah.
Have been given to mining. And interestingly, when these matters are brought before the court seems to be siding on the side of the miners.
That is correct.
Right? In the case of the issue that deals with the with the American Commission on Human Rights on that issue, and with the Isano people, and now you have this other matter that was decided on recently regarding against the Wapichan folks as well, the rights that are being violated. And if you guys, I know lots of you have been, if you have been following some of the issues we have been contending with at this end, you would hear us talking, for instance, about what's been happening at areas like Wiki Kalkoni. The people got trouble with the leadership there in the community, the Tushao, mismanagement of money. They don't feel as though their rights are being heard. You know, they don't have a sense as though they have any power, they have any say. But the government has not been listening. So we talked about Wiki Kalkoni. We talk about what has been happening at Kururu is another area with similar contentions. Again, these are all indigenous communities, and the one refrain is that government ain't listening to us.
That is correct.
Right? They come and they install their own Tushao. They come and talk to us. They're not asking us what we want. They're telling us what we get in. So we got Wiki Kalkoni, Hururu, and then we had this place in Santa Cruz, Moruca, Little Canubali as well. And when you add these to this 2 months, you know, right? But these issues, especially the one related to the Commission on Human Rights, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, and now this UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, they have been in the system for some time, going back again to the PPP last iteration of governance, right? Because they ain't listening. You come, they giving permit for mining to be done on their lands, on their territory, right? And the courts, in both instances, these bodies, these international bodies, there's one refrain: the people must be consulted with, and that is what the PPP got a problem with. That's the Ariadne thread that runs through PPP governance. They don't like consultation.
No, but it goes back to one concept. It goes back, all of what you're saying goes back to one thing, and you have been talking about it for quite some time. The fact that democracy is not elections. That's not democracy.
Yeah.
And as a people, we need to be fighting that cause in every single nook and corner of the country, because that is what is happening there. You say, oh, well, this is the leadership, you know, whatever they say goes. No, that is not the order of the day. That is not the way in which things are structured, or the way in which things are meant to be done. The whole aspect of having good governance altogether, this whole aspect of democracy, have to come with how you execute your functions when you are in office moving forward. If you're good stewards of the monies of the country, if you are transparent in what you're doing, if there's accountability and oversight, if there is wide-scale consultation before you go and do something, or is it a case that you're single-handedly in a dictatorial fashion going about the way in which you manage persons' resources? If that is the case, no, you are not practicing good governance. No, you're not practicing democracy. And you should be removed. The democratic aspect of it needs to be in play. And that is what has been stifled by the current administration. Because when the people decide now that they're going to come together and they're going to consult the leadership as is, the persons that are sitting in those seats, and say, we have an issue with this person. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. There is no aspect of going out and have consultations and all of that, and we the people don't want them there. Then those persons that are at the helm that should simply going to overlook the process at the local level, when they remove that person because it's their democratic right to do so, those persons stifle the whole process altogether, and there is no push forward for them to actually work in the best interest of the people. And that's what we're looking at.
I know, Tricia, as you were articulating that, you know, the refrain that would come from the government because of that pushback is, where were you? You know, in the struggle during the protracted electoral period. That's the foolishness. Well, Starbucks News did an editorial this morning on this matter called Chinese landing. That's the title of the header of the editorial. And, you know, Judy was talking about it earlier on. You know, give credit where credit is due. Starbucks News has been on the forefront of some of these issues. The same way on issues of oil and gas. Kaiser News has been on the forefront. I would tell you this: one of the redeeming qualities of Chronicle, they have some good Sunday features on individuals.
Oh yes,
right. They got some good Sunday features on individuals. I don't know what is redeeming quality for Times and so on, but
I don't force myself to pick up a Times.
Right?
I'm sorry.
So Starbucks News did some work on this today in its editorial, and this is what part of that editorial reads. Again, the header for the editorial is Chinese landing, and here's what Starbucks News says. It says that as in the case of the Mining and Amerindian Act, again, these are Wapichan people, they're communities based at what they call in the interior Chinese landing. As in the case of the Mining and Amerindians Act, there are areas which develop but which have not been harmonized. Full judicial redress will only be possible for the indigenous people when there is a carefully thought out reform of laws. That said, one cannot but feel that within the laws as they stand, there's far more the authorities could be doing to deal with the excesses of mining, while they certainly mount an immediate investigation into the allegations against the Ghana Police Force and the others in Chinese landing. Because what the folks they have been saying is that they have been threatened by police, you know, they are being abused. And why? Because of we own land. Right? And again, the court in these instances have been very, very, very specific. There should be what is called prior and informed consent. You can't just go and then you consult after. You can't do the mining and then you consult.
There's an act. It's actually in law that's the way in which it should happen. It's written in law that's the way in which it should happen. So, you know, sometimes I'm at pain to just keep repeating the fact that the administration has the persons know what is in law, is there in black and white, but they go out and do something completely opposite. And when it comes to indigenous communities, I want to say this, and I don't want to ruffle anybody's feather, but it has been time and years of persistent neglect, abuse, and all of those things in these communities. Years and years and years. And persons believe that they just have to push their hands in their pocket, especially when it comes to these large miners. Not all of them, and I have to put that out there. Some of them are very respectful when they go into those communities, but a lot of them go into these communities and just do as they want. And then they influence persons that should be in positions to protect the people. They influence those persons by passing a bribe here and there for those persons go in there and further terrorize those people on the ground. But that is when you test the whole system altogether. But people have to speak up against it, because of many times so many things happen that is not even brought to the front, because one person can't be everywhere. Guyana is large, and there's so many issues that are within these indigenous communities because it's so far off that a lot of persons don't hear about. But whenever something happens, you hear about, you have to speak out about it. You have to represent those people.
I'm so happy you said that, because I can see some folks watching us say, but this don't concern me. This don't concern my community, right? The community that I live in.
It's a
right?
microcosm.
You know, the great civil rights leader, Dr. Martin Luther King, says that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And nobody wants to speak out unless, you know, the hammer on their toe.
But what is it
right?
that was said
And
also?
then when the hammer on their toe, they want everybody to come protesting, everybody to come shouting for them. And that is why this injustice here that's happening within the indigenous community, we all have to speak out against it. Similarly, when we see injustices in other communities of people in this country, we will speak out against it. Yeah. We will speak out against it. And as historical as there have been injustices in the indigenous community, we have been talking about the historical injustices, for instance, in places like Linden, Region 10, correct. Linden in particular. And we see it happening every day. Threat to justice anywhere, right? Injustices anywhere, rather. It's a threat to justice everywhere.
Correct. And I want to just make this point. You just mentioned Linden, and I want to make the point that one of was something that I made a mental note of is when there was an issue in Linden with Central Housing and Planning actually sending folks to bulldozer the homes of those persons that were there in the area that was in the process of being regularized. When that happened, you know, there was a young man there out and about in the rain with everyone going around. And so I automatically assumed that he was someone that was affected. And he said, no, he was not. He said, but I am coming out here to support the persons that were affected, because if I am affected, I would want them to come out and support me also. And that is the way in which we need to start thinking. That's the way in which we need to move forward, because I want to note a comment that I just read online, you know, and the comment that's coming on Facebook is coming from Faisal Bobby Solomon and Fazal actually. And Fazal is saying that don't look at my name and think I'm representing the corrupt PPP politicians. There is nothing more I would like to see than corrupt Guyanese politicians thrown in jail regardless of party. He said in most countries, riots would have happened if the DPP had dropped charges the way it was done for Irfan Ali. But I want to just note something at this point in time. You know, the very fact that Fazil actually started by saying, don't look at my name and think I'm representing the corrupt PPP. The very fact that he said that caught my attention. And I have to say that we're in a bad spot and we need to move forward when that is even a consideration, you know. And I just want to say to Fazil at this point in time that, you know, when you come on these programs, FYI, when we look at names, I've learned over time, I do not associate anyone's name and try to assume who they represent and all of that. But I base my thoughts about persons based on what they articulate. Altogether. So we have to move forward from this. And I think this is a good little this unit of FYI, you know, if we have that mindset and move forward, we'll be on a better spot. But I note your comment on altogether that we need to be doing better, because there was absolutely no rationality about why that was done in the manner in which it was. But we in Guyana know why it was done. So I think you speak about it. The word is evading me. Basically, when persons just decide to accept what is going on, they've been in the struggle so long that they become immune to the struggle and decide to just accept it as is.
You know, I'm happy you mentioned the DPP there, because I wanna play for you guys in case you missed this last evening. What transpired at the CCJ on Tuesday in the Nisa Gopal matter, because the DPP was making some statements that the President of the CCJ, Justice Adrian Sanders, wasn't having at all. And it just goes to show, again, as Justice Sanders says, if you aren't measured with your words as a Minister of Justice, as the DPP of a whole country, this is not of a school prefect body, right? This is of a whole country. Then what you say matters, right? You could have got some serious miscarriages of justice, because of what you say. And that was the point he was making. If you are the top getting it wrong, I think what he has been saying, is, Mrs. Harry, with all due respect, I see you get it wrong more often than not, which means that the justice system in Guyana could be in trouble because you right at the apex.
Well, let's see what was said here.
Yep.
At the best interest of the child, and ask this court as the parents patria to not interfere with the sentence of the Court of Appeal, because it was just given the heinous nature of the commission of this offense by no less of a person than the mother of a child and her lover, and a lover who attempted to abuse that child too. And this is a heinous case. Now, the society looks towards the court to give a sentence that.
Miss Ali, you are a minister of justice. You are the director of public prosecutions in Guyana, so that your statements have to be very measured and careful. How can you be saying that that small sexually assaulted the deceased? He was convicted of that. There was an allegation and then it was withdrawn, and then there was another allegation and it was withdrawn again.
No, please, Your Honor, it wasn't withdrawn the second time.
But even so, it's an allegation. It hasn't been an allegation that has been tested, so you can't make definitive statements about something like that. You could have a suspicion, but a suspicion is one thing. To make a definitive statement and to urge a court to act on the basis of that definitive statement, you can't do that.
Yep.
Wow. I am no legal person for these cases. I always refer to persons like a Manza and Sherrod, that have
legal training.
some bit of background in law. I have zero background in law, but just listening to it, he was clear as day. And anybody like myself that has no history of any legal background could understand clearly what he's saying.
You cannot pronounce definitively on assumptions. That's what you say.
Yeah, basically,
and then you instruct a court.
It's not guilty until proven innocent. It's innocent until proven guilty. That's basically what he's saying.
But in this world we have here,
in Guyana,
right? It's guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. But he was very definitive on what he was saying. He was absolutely on.
It makes you wonder about a lot of things, issues like that.
But a lot of times, I want to say, especially when it comes to that particular case also that they're talking about, I can admit, let me just say this, I can admit that it is impossible for me to look at that, to have any reasoning that dispassionately. Like the whole episode of what transpired altogether, I view it from a very passionate point of view.
The law is very dispassionate.
I'm not dispassionate on that matter, but I think that's what that is coming on to, that you can't bring whatever feelings you have into the matter, or whatever conviction you have drawn in your own head to it. You have to be dispassionate in actually applying the law to these cases altogether. But that particular matter, it is impossible for me to do dispassionately.
Which is what he said. You might have a lot of assumption because of what you hear,
of your own,
unless you test that.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you test that in the correct venues like the court.
Yes.
Right? Then all you have is assumptions. You think you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of cases are strong like that. It looks one way on what they call prima facie, on the surface, on the face of it. It looks a certain way. But when you get into the nitty-gritty and you start out, right? Sometimes it goes the other way.
Yeah. Right? But I am actually I have concerns with a statement that was made about society having this expectation, because then that by itself have a whole train of question that I would want to ask based on that statement, that society have this expectation. Because which aspect of society are you talking about?
That's an assumption by itself.
In a community from
You're
Guyana.
assuming that. You're assuming that.
How do you separate this?
That's the point I was making earlier when I said society has an expectation that we would know why all these charges were dropped.
But then it begs the question, which aspect of society are you referring to when you say society?
When all of these charges were dropped, we weren't given one reason, and logically I'd like to know why men who were convicted, why men who were charged, the High Court, the Chief Justice says there are things here, you know, which are justiciable, and why those matters never saw the light of day to be ventilated in the courts, to be tested according to the U.S. Justice agents on these words, you know, to have them tested and put to rest once and for all, whether there was fraud, whether there was thieving, whether there was corruption, to put at rest once and for all. Right? But it wasn't that, right? You know, society had an expectation, a legitimate expectation.
But it begs the question, which aspect of society is being
see
adhered
that?
to?
You see that?
You know, which aspect of society, which section of society is afforded the opportunity for the demands to be met?
You see, this country is big enough.
More questions than answers.
Country is big enough for all of us.
I think that's why Justice Saunders actually intervened, because he saw that she was going on a line that is going to be putting herself in a position that more questions are out there based on the way in which she conducts the business of the day of the office.
Not only that, he is acutely aware. He is under scrutiny too. That is being live streamed, you know. You think other justices are tuning in other places in the world and say, "Oh, we sit down there and he let this woman say that."
Yeah. True.
How we sit down there and he let this woman saying all this stuff, Mrs. Ali. Miss Ali, hold up. Yeah. That's our time, folks.
That's our time.
That's our program. That's our program.
So
we're so happy you guys have been here.
Isabella Butters, we see you, Marlon Larimer, Veronica Henry.
It's up to, well, how is pronounced that name, Brian? What's that first name, Brian?
It's up to you.
It's up to you. That's we get it?
It's up to you.
Oh,
it's up to you, Brian.
At least that's your assumption. It has been tested.
That's what I'm seeing. It's up to you.
In one word, as one word. Oh my.
Yeah.
It's up to you, Brian.
My daughter texted me some letters and I was trying to pronounce it for the life of me.
You got experience.
Which language is this?
You got experience.
Said, no, this is the acronym for.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Guys, thanks for all the lovely thoughts.
You say I'm correct.
Thanks for all the lovely thoughts. It's up to you, Brian. Brian has to reinform himself every day, because nobody is telling you that, you know. Brian, is up to you. It's up to you, Brian.
It's up to you. But I can see, and I'm going to note that his profile picture, that is a 7. And if I'm not mistaken, again, I follow these things. Forgive me. If I'm not mistaken, that 7, that particular picture of the 7 was going wrong when the 7% across the board increase was announced and persons were up in arms again.
Same, Brian, this 7% won't do. It's up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to you to make the rest. It's up to you. That's our time, guys. Orwin Don and Nero DeJean and Anna Phillips, Chanel Belgrave, and Merlin Sampson. Lots of people.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. It's always a good feeling to have you here with us in the morning as we have these discussions. You know, so much that we need to do collectively and as a team. You know, we can't do it by ourselves. 1 and 2 persons just out there, it's not going to cut it. It has to be a collective effort in order to actually see true change and the change that we are so looking for. So a lot of work still to be done, but we're going to continue to do our part, and you continue to support as it is so highly appreciated. 627 6963.
627 6963. Guys, you know, we can't do it. We're totally public funded by you, so we can't do it without you. And we say sometimes, don't think somebody else giving, because that's an assumption you're making too. And you can test that. Don't think somebody else is giving. Candy's going to give, so I, Urban Don, I ain't gonna forgive, you know. Leonard Jacobs gonna give, so I, Joel Ward, ain't gonna do nothing. You understand me? We need your support to keep going. Every month, we have responsibilities that are financial that we need to meet to keep going for the next month. And so we are grateful and we welcome we are thankful for your love first and foremost, and for your support. And those who partner with us in this way, we are indebted to you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and we invite your participation as well to partner with us. As Rita says, you want to know how? It's WhatsApp 627-6963. We're available via Cash App. We're available via Zelle. We're available via PayPal, MMG, Western Union, and MoneyGram. You can WhatsApp us, and we can tell you how.
That's it, guys. That's our time. Make sure that you're careful on the roadway. And I just want to mention at this point in time, you know, one of the things that I cannot go without saying is that the accidents continue to mount up here. You know, persons losing their lives all the time. And we just had my Coney accident with 1 death. So with that in mind, when you go out there into the today to conduct your business, it's Friday the 13th already. Whatever superstitions are out there, However,
Take it easy.
continue to be careful. And we will
Take it
see
easy.
you back on Monday for FYI. We have a
Yeah.
long weekend.
Yeah.
You know,
From FYI, but we're
Yes.
back with the podcast at 12. And then we're in the ring.
Sherrod can't afford to miss you.
We're in the ring.
He's
We're in the ring
always
at
here.
8. We're in the ring at
Yes.
8. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Have
That's
a
our time.
good day, everyone. Bye.